Take me home tonight. Listen, honey, just like Ronnie said. Just like Ronnie said.
Hey, welcome back to the latest episode of the unofficial official pod from Straight No Chaser, episode number 12. As always, I am Mike Luganbill here with Segi and Tyler, who are also in the group. What's up, guys?
What's up? What's up? Good
Still-
to be here.
How's
Still
it
doing
going?
great.
Yeah,
Episode
still doing
12.
here.
Episode 12, rocking it.
Oh my gosh.
Take one.
Yeah.
It's nice to be in the same room with you guys now
Yeah.
for one, or actually not for once, but for the first time in a couple
Since the last
weeks,
tour,
couple months, whatever.
couple
Yeah,
months, yeah.
something like
This
that.
is a lot. This is a lot better than the Zoom stuff.
I think so.
Yeah.
I like being in the room
Real
with you
time.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I like being in the room with you.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes there's too many people, then Mike has to go
Yeah,
to a
true.
different
Um,
lounge.
We are 3 days into our rehearsals for the Top Shelf tour. And I gotta say, guys, I don't know what it is, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
And
Long days.
I think it's because where we're rehearsing this time, there is a strict schedule. So we have the room from 9 to 5. The reason that is because it's a union house. I don't know if you want to help explain what that means, but
Sure. There are union houses and non-union houses. And in a union house, if you want to stay past the time the union is scheduled to leave, it entails a lot of extra things. One, money, and two, scheduling. So tomorrow and Thursday, we're going to roll late because we know we'll want the time. So we were able to let them know ahead of time so they can make sure they've got a staff member who is able to stay longer, and we're not forcing to stay longer just last minute. But also to keep costs down and to stay under budget. We don't want to go over because then we incur charges. But that's basically the difference between a union and a non-union house. They have to have a member of staff there at all times.
and I think for us it just means that we start our days earlier. We end them earlier as well, which is nice. But we're used to starting maybe around 11-ish, but I feel like this week we've been starting around 9:30. And that's a good thing because we're all used to getting up early. We all have kids and we all have lives at home, and right. Yeah, so that's been good. Feel like the show is going to be great. A lot of new stuff we're learning. How do you guys feel so far? I know it's been a couple days, but
Feel good. I think that we did the 90s thing this summer, and now we're on the Top Shelf tour, which is a completely different show, obviously with the holiday stuff. And being a Top Shelf tour, we're bringing some old stuff that we haven't done in a while back, and we've got a bunch of new songs too. And I think it's going to be an awesome show. We've got a lot of great songs, and it's going to be a very cool show with a cool set.
Yeah, I'm most excited for the fans' reactions to our physical set that's on stage. Usually we're just on a couple of risers in like a different formation, but this is like a full built out, still using the risers, but a full built out thing with a lot of really cool lighting elements that fans will get to see on this tour. So I'm excited to see their reaction to the scale of our set. It's pretty big.
Looks like a real awesome.
Yeah, we're like a real thing.
Real thing.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
We keep
excited.
fooling people, but
I know.
we'll take it.
yeah. And the music is only half of it.
Right.
Which is a lot, and there's a lot to learn. But then once we put in choreography, that adds a whole other challenge too, right? The new
For some, for
stuff,
sure.
and you're doing that.
Because without that, we'd just be on stage, just standing.
Yeah,
standing
'cause
next to
then-
each other,
'cause we
singing
don't want
songs.
to keep the
Stools and wired mics.
yeah.
That's what we'd be doing. Not selling
which we did
tickets.
in college, which was great.
Yeah.
But now we're here, and that
With
is another
stools and
that is another
wireless
level, another
mics.
element of our group,
Mhm.
and it's definitely made us a lot better.
But I feel like we have a good handle on the music.
Yeah.
As you guys know, nowadays it's easy to learn the music on your way in just because we can send the parts out so guys can learn music and they can look at the parts, they can listen to the parts even. And that's been a humongous help for us. I feel like we used to have longer rehearsal periods, but we don't anymore, just only because a lot of work that we can do
Mhm.
like early,
Yeah.
we have done.
Yeah.
And
Technology has helped us a lot with all that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember like in our first couple of years, especially like when we were doing those Atlantic City shows or like
Mhm.
Atlantic City summers, like we'd spend a lot of time just on music because we wouldn't get it beforehand, and we have to come in and rehearse the music for a certain number of days because that's got to be right first before we do anything else on stage. So
Right.
Yeah, because that was way back in 2010 when there was no email.
right.
I-
I'm just saying now that we've now all
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to pat ourselves on the back for
Yeah.
this. Everyone should have known their music coming into rehearsal since this group was signed, and
okay.
I'll
you
never,
major.
I'll never give that up.
Sure. But
That was always a point of irritation for me.
life happens.
Sure.
And if it is the point of irritation for you, then maybe you should try to get us
I
to get
do.
on your level.
I give reminders on every
You
call.
do. You're right. You
I'll
do.
send Slacks and emails, just reminding people like, hey, tours in 3 weeks. We all have the music.
Yeah.
Start looking at it.
I love it.
And I'll say this, one thing that all the arrangers have done a great job of doing is sending learning tracks to guys. So some of the guys who aren't as prolific with sheet music reading, I don't know why I said it that way. Reading sheet music, that was weird. Yeah, but it flowed better the other way. I was like,
We'll get that in post.
yeah, we'll edit it out.
I won't edit it out. By the way, I won't.
But I think that's helped a lot too, because now they'll be able to hear just their part. And usually what the arrangers will do is they'll put say it's a tenor one part all the way in the left ear. And then all the way in the right ear, you'll hear the rest of the rest of the parts. So you'll have your part isolated. So if reading by using your eyeballs to look at a piece of paper that has a staff on it with notes, I'm trying to make reading sheet music longer.
Right, so,
It's
yeah.
working.
I think what's funny too is I'll have all these learning tracks like on my phone, and when you get in your car for the first time, and that's the first thing that pops up, it's like my part to whatever. Did I say it in the last podcast?
Yep.
I probably did.
Yeah.
But anyways, it still happens, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm probably bringing it up.
As everybody knows, if you've seen our show before, we don't just stand up there and sing. There's
What?
always another half.
Some of us dance.
Some of us dance.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we can dance is because of the next person we're going to have on the podcast this week. Like last week, we are going to continue the series of introducing you guys to our team. I know a lot of you guys know these people. David, who was on last week, our manager, David. But this week, we thought in rehearsal week, we would love to have on somebody who makes us look very good. She is a choreographer. She is a director. She is a producer. She's worked with the likes of Ricky Martin and Gwen Stefani. She's been on stage with people like Prince as a dancer. And
Prince.
we are so happy that she agreed to hang with us this evening and to be on the podcast. And we're excited for you guys to hear more about her and more about her background and everything. So without any further ado, we would love to welcome to the unofficial official pod our choreographer, our everything, Miss Jill Hillier.
Julie Jill.
Hey,
Woohoo!
Jill.
Hi.
Thank you for
I'm very
hanging with
excited.
us tonight.
Very excited. Been
So
trying
good
to
to see
be
you.
quiet
And
off to the
anticipated
side and not
guests.
laugh out loud with my
We've had a
cackle.
lot of
Yes.
emails that are been sent about Jill, about wanting to hear from Jill because they know about our. Because every time we get this a lot in our sign lands, hey, who does your choreography? How do you guys look so good? We're like, well, we have this awesome choreographer, Jill, and they want to hear from you. They want to see you on the pod, so we're glad to have you.
I'm honored to be here.
We're so happy to have you, Jill. As we did last week, and with every guest that we have on, we feel like obviously we know a lot about you, and a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of our fans also know you, but they don't really know your whole story. So just as we're getting going here, I want to ask about you. And if you could tell us like a little bit about you, where you're from and where you live now, and how you got into the world of dance, into the world of choreography, directing, everything like that. I'm sure people would love to hear that. So
Awesome. I will try to do an abbreviated
please, yeah.
story because
No,
it's quite long.
Yeah, we're in a union
Yep.
time crunch here.
Yep.
nice.
Earlier in the show.
Pretty easy. My mom was a dancer, grew up in New York City, And when she moved to Ohio, got married to my dad, he built a studio in our basement. So
What a guy.
I know, what a guy. He was quite a guy. So from the time I was 2 years old, I literally just walked down the stairs and would be in the studio, mirrors, everything. So there was no question my whole life. I would like to say that yes, at 4 years old, my very first recital, I sang 101 Pounds of Fun did a tap dance dressed as a Playboy bunny.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you sure it wasn't just like a bunny? Like why?
It was the whole, like the feathers around
I don't
the
know what they
black.
look like.
But then I had like little knee socks on.
You
I
guys
will show
have-
you. I have a picture. I will show you the picture. It's quite cute with my
That's-
next door neighbor.
Is that legal?
Yes, we didn't do anything.
No,
Yes.
I mean, is it
Oh.
is it legal to show in the picture? I don't know. I know.
Oh my
Sorry.
goodness. So yeah, so I just danced from that point on. Never had any question in my head that there was anything I wanted to do. Spent my summers in New York City taking class with all the best of the best. I remember looking through the observation windows, watching all the Broadway dancers, the Fosse dancers, and just knowing that's what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. So it was that pace. I wanted to move to New York. My dad was an educator and said, no way. You have to go to college. And then of course I ended up going to IU.
That's right. I was going to ask.
Yep.
Why Indiana?
So I did look at different programs at different schools, and IU had a phenomenal ballet program.
Still do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They brought in top-notch people from Joffrey Ballet and New York City Ballet. And it was new at the time. And that was my weak point. So I was great at jazz, tap, but ballet was my weak. So I thought, why don't I go improve that skill? And it was cool. They brought in top ballet dancers from the ballet companies from New York City Ballet, and they performed Nutcracker with us at IU, which was pretty cool.
Cool.
How was it growing up in a small town, being a dancer like at your level? Was it frustrating that there wasn't anyone around that was like up to where you were, or was it like, did it build your ego, or were you like craving other people to be on your level?
So shout out to my mom. My mom is a legend, D. Hillier.
Shout out
D.
D. Hillier.
Shout out to D. Hillier. She put out some phenomenal dancers who did go on to dance with all the biggest pop stars and the Broadway stars. So I was not like the exception.
So they were the ones that were frustrated that you
Yes,
knew
I
that
was
the rest
keeping
of
them
them
back.
weren't good. Got it.
Yes. Yes. She is a legend, my mother. I was very fortunate. That wasn't the situation at all. But yeah, at IU, I wasn't happy. I really felt a degree in dance was stupid and not really worthwhile. So I saved my money while I was going to school. And because my dad and I am very happy he said this. He said, if you don't go to school, you're on your own. You don't get a penny from me, which was awesome.
I was about to ask you, I was like about to ask you like what you thought about that, but
At the time,
you just answered.
but now I'm like, it gave me my work ethic. I got
Yeah.
that from my dad.
Sure.
So I saved my money. I got a scholarship at a dance studio in New York City that I had been going to every summer, so I didn't have to pay for dance classes. I got a job at the corner cafe, waited tables on the weekends, saved money, and just started the audition process.
So how long were you at IU total?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah. And then I started that process of New York, thinking I wanted to be on Broadway, summer stock and all that kind of stuff. Realized Broadway was not what I wanted to do. I was realizing as a dancer, and I was never a great singer, as you guys know.
It's more of a lyric
I
issue.
was gonna say
You have a hard
as
time
I
remembering.
was gonna say
lyrics.
as like trying to be a Broadway dancer, do they expect you to also sing
Yes.
like totally?
100%.
Okay.
Yes, you have to sing your 16 bars, even if you're going to be in the chorus.
Got it.
Yeah. But a lot of dancers sit backstage. There's a lot of Broadway shows where you're not on stage the whole time. You come out for the number, which I found boring. So friends had said, move out to LA, and I didn't have the money to move to LA. So I did a cruise ship, and
Yes, which we know about as well.
Yep,
right, guys?
a great way to stash away like $12,000. Moved out to LA You're like, no, didn't say.
Well,
No, I
Steggy used his money for
all
other
this money
things.
that
I came back in the hole heavy.
Oh,
Why?
But
Why,
I-
Steggy?
he was in the Mediterranean though, so that's a little
that okay.
No, because I went on in a different stage in my life. I had a good job in Vegas. I was making a good living for a 20 or something year old single person. So I went on the cruise ship, not for financial reasons, but for more of an experience based reason.
Got it.
So I had no problem being like, I'm going to live this up because I don't know if I'll ever be in any of these places around the world ever again.
Got it.
So I was going to live it up to the fullest. So that's why.
I was in the Caribbean. So
Yeah.
yeah, it got old real fast. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of saving.
Yep. Okay.
So I moved out to LA, and right off the bat, that was the fit for me. It was more pop. It was more that kind of dancing.
Okay.
And then that's where I was fortunate enough to get hired to dance for Prince.
How long from when you moved to LA? How long were you working? Like, and then you got the gig for Prince. Like, how long? Like in between.
I would say 2 years, and I was doing other gigs. Like I was doing at the time, there were tennis shoe industrials, so they would hire dancers to do corporate shows for Nike, Adidas, and you would make great money. I did some Disney gigs, I did some commercials, I did that kind of stuff. But yeah, when I auditioned for Prince, it was for the American Music Awards. It was a big tribute to Prince.
Right.
And Jamie King, who I ended up working for as an associate director, was a choreographer and director. And that was like my big moment when I got that.
That's awesome.
And you still work with him now a little bit.
I
too,
still work
right?
with him
Yeah.
as an associate director.
How cool
Yeah.
is that you guys still have that relationship after all this time?
So I was always that person, I think, because of my father being a mathematician. I've always been both sides of the brain, if that makes sense. So I had the creative side, but I also was very good at being in charge. I was always dance captain.
Yes.
I was always
Yes,
company
you are
manager.
good at being in charge.
She is.
So when choreographers or directors that you work with as a dancer see that in you, then when they need the assistant, they think of you. And so Jamie saw that in me right off the bat. So the first opportunity he had to have me step in as an associate was for Ricky Martin. He had just come out with Livin' La Vida Loca. Jamie had another
for him.
job. He could not be there. Ricky was doing a performance on an award show, and I was thrown to the wolves. It was, Jill, you're in charge. You got to handle this.
Wow.
It was
Amazing.
frightening.
What year was this, do you think?
1999.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so that was right.
It was
right
Livin'
as
La
he
Vida
was
Loca.
breaking.
Big
Ricky
time.
was doing
Yeah.
the circuit for
Yeah.
that song. Yeah. And it was scary because I had not done a lot of television. I had done a lot of live. So I had to really just learn on my feet.
So
Might
when
have
you
been.
were working with him, were you still a dancer as well?
Yep.
So you were still working like in other gigs, but then you were doing the directing thing, not on the side, but as an extra
So
thing. Yeah.
I
It's all in
think,
the same universe.
yeah.
I mean, like a gig as a dancer, like where she has no control over anything, and she's just the dancer, but also on the off weekend or whatever, it's okay. But I'm also going to do the directing thing as well.
I just have never been a person that's good with off time. So
Yeah.
I think the reason why my career has been as long as it has is because I've always been open to numerous things. I worked at a talent agency once as a side gig. Obviously worked as a dancer. I was a show director for cruise ships before I started choreographing the cruise ships. I was always looking around going, oh, that's a cool gig. That's a cool gig, as opposed to what I was just doing. When those opportunities came up, I would just do it.
You said yes to a lot of
I
things.
said, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I learned. And so I was never out of work because
Yeah, that's what gives you longevity is
Right.
learning every aspect of the business. It's like actors that become directors and producers.
Sure.
It's,
But also something that like you just said, Tyler, is that she never said no to anything.
Mhm.
Whenever we have a meet and greet with a high school or like any kind of anybody really who wants to get into music and they ask us, what's the one thing that you would say for us to do? It's always, you got to say yes to everything.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what you, I mean, essentially did, even if you didn't have any idea what the hell you were doing, like
no.
you did, and then you'll figure it out.
also,
Mm-hmm.
I would say in this industry specifically, um, be okay with working for free, when you're
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
started.
Yes.
And that's where you prove yourself and you make yourself invaluable to whatever team you're on or whatever position you're doing, like owning it. And just like Jill, learn all the different aspects. So then, and even more importantly, be good to work with. You know what I mean? If you're good to work around and people like you, they're going to think of you first every single time there's a gig, no matter what the opportunity is.
Absolutely.
That's why you got such an incredible opportunity, Ricky, because yeah, you were good at everything, but I think the thing that puts people at the top of the list more than anything is the ability to be worked with, or like being pleasant to be around, because there are people that are probably better than everyone at certain things, but they're just not great to work with. So they don't get those opportunities.
You have to be adaptable. Situations will arise and you can't be stubborn set in what you want. Like you have to be really ready to pivot and adjust to a new situation at any time and keep a sense of humor about it. But you can't, be difficult.
So that's 99 that you get your kind of first little taste of the like associate director
With a big
with-
pop star.
with big act, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after 1999, like what are the next 6 to 8 years look as you're going through this process? Because I do want to ask, eventually, like how you came to work with us, but that wasn't for another like 11 years, 2010. So what was happening in the middle of that?
For the cruise ships, one aspect of what I did, I had danced as a dancer on a cruise ship, but then they also cruise ships need somebody to teach the cast every 6 months. So there's a new cast rotation, right? And there was a company in Los Angeles that I would do that. So I was a show director. So I would recreate the existing shows. And it was great. It was a great learning experience because not only did I teach the eights, the choreography, but I got to go on the ship and be in charge of the technical aspects.
The eights.
Yeah.
The eights.
Love that.
Yeah,
I
explain
don't think I've
explain
ever heard that.
I haven't heard it either.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
So
The
in
eight,
dance,
like, yeah,
everything's an
counts.
8 count.
The counts.
The
Oh,
eights.
the eights.
eights.
Okay.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Correct.
Right.
And we're here.
Yes.
Okay.
All
Got
of
it.
them. All
Yes.
of the eight.
All the counts.
All the eights. Yeah. So that was a great learning experience because I had to be the director for the first time in that situation. For the rigor, if there's hydraulic lifts, if there's flying, if there's anything technical that has to happen and it's on a cue, whether it's a curtain closing or opening or a stage lift, I had to be the one to cue the tech crew of when that happens. So again, there's not really a training for it. You just have to be on your game, ready to go, and to gain respect from the crew that they know that you know what you're talking about. So that was a great training ground for me, the cruise ships, and that was Holland America Line primarily at that time. So then from Jamie saw that in me. I did Ricky, and then when other opportunities came about, the next opportunity was the Spice Girls reunion tour. So I got that was super fun because another great gig is they need stand-ins. So for a lot of these big pop tours, the artist isn't always there in rehearsal,
Right.
but you have to have somebody
For
representing
lights and for
the dancers.
everything. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Blocking.
I got to be Mel C.
That's scary.
No, it's Becky.
Mel C, the sporty.
Yes.
Okay.
I got to be Mel C. And then I was also, there's a position called supervising choreographer, which is one of my favorite. So what Jamie does, Jamie loves when he uses different choreographers for a tour. So he gets a lot of variety in styles, but there needs to be a position that's overseeing all those choreographers. This is the part of the stage you use. This is your prop. This is where the artist will be,
Right.
so that the show is different.
Probably because in the same sense of a writer or an arranger of a song, everybody's got their style. Choreographer being the same way,
Right.
where like you have your style and like
Right.
getting different people, you're gonna get a bunch of different styles and
Right.
like, different variety of stuff.
Right. And the choreographers aren't knowing what the other choreographer did.
Right,
So
okay.
I had to be that person.
Got it.
So that was super fun. And then that led to Celine, where I did the
Oh,
same thing.
I
I forgot
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
Celine
Yeah.
Dion, have you heard of her?
Only
Yeah.
the biggest artist that I forgot in the intro. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Oh my goodness.
Shout
I
out
totally
Celine
forgot
Dion.
about that.
So same kind of position. I was
Yeah.
Celine. I taught Celine her staging, her choreography. And then I was supervising choreographer as well. So I was able to do 2 positions.
She seems like the nicest person.
She was,
She's Canadian.
I guess all.
I
Canadians.
didn't know what to expect. Sometimes when you work with artists, you don't know how they're going to take to you. She was used to her own, she's had her stand-in for years, but Jamie was new to her team. So he brought me in. So we didn't know how she was going to take to me. But she's quite funny. I pictured her to be very prim and proper, and she's not at all. Not at all.
Cool.
And that was, I will have to say, a super special experience because I would walk with her. The stage was in the round. Her pathways were a bit complicated.
Tell people what the stage in the round means.
So that means the audience is all around you as opposed to a flat proscenium stage is in the round. So she would be walking right next to me. And the thing about Celine that is incredible is she loves singing more than anything in the whole wide world.
Very good at it.
Yeah. She was still doing her show in Vegas at night, and rehearsing with us during the day. And the doctor was telling her, don't sing in rehearsal because you have a show to do that night.
Oh, okay.
But she can't help it.
Yeah.
She just can't help it.
Yeah.
And so when she would be, her voice, like right here, she's right here. There was never a bad note.
Oh, I'm sure.
Never.
For
And
sure.
it was, yeah, especially with what's happened to her lately with that whole, her
Yeah.
stiff person syndrome. And that was probably one of the most special moments in my life is working with her.
She was
As
the best
far
thing
as
ever.
the most unbelievable
Yeah.
talent, the
Yeah.
effortless talent,
Up till then.
up till you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Then
then
You heard
we
Tyler,
Yeah.
you were like,
Yes.
what's also interesting,
yeah.
all the artists you've named, you've choreographed their stuff for us. Prince,
That's
Celine,
true.
This is true.
Spice Girls.
Yes.
What was the other one? Ricky.
Ricky.
Yeah.
This is true. Can I tell a Celine story? If
No.
That was
No.
my question.
Please not
My
to-
question is tell us Celine Dion's story. Yes.
Yes, please.
this is this is a cool thing. So she, you guys, I think have talked about in-ears
Yep,
on your,
Yep. we have.
so in her ears, she likes to have her brother because she doesn't remember the lyrics to new songs.
Oh.
Or if she wants to say hello or anything in a different language, he would prompt her. Does that make sense? And then she has her band in her other ear. When we opened the tour, we practiced in the round, but when they opened the tour, she had to do a flat stage. They were in, I think, somewhere in South Africa or something. So when they reopened the tour, it was in Tokyo. So they flew me out to Tokyo for me to reteach her show that we had rehearsed in the round because it had been months.
She should have just done half of it.
I love Seggy.
Oh.
So anyway, we rehearsed. She did not feel secure. And she was like, I want you to talk in my ears. So I want you to direct me. Yes. So I had to sit. So she had like a runway that went around the center, and her brother and I had to be under the stage where we had a bullseye view of her no matter where she was on the stage. And I would go right, go to the B stage, go to the C stage, go on the conveyor belt down stage, go. It was very nerve wracking, but I had to. Now, meanwhile, she has her brother in her one ear and she's got me in this ear, and her band is playing somewhere. I have no idea how she's handling
gosh.
this.
How many ears does she have?
She's Celine Dion. She's got a bunch.
This is true.
She is really good.
She is really good.
must
She
have a
is.
lot of
She
ears.
must have all the ears.
So it's going really well. She's doing everything right. We get to the finale and she doesn't listen to what I'm telling her. So I'm like, go to the right, go to the right. I knew the dancers were going to be coming and head on. So I'm thinking, dancers, please be smart and know that she's there. So she just does her own thing. She's walking and she literally came around the corner. She looked down at me and her brother and went, I know, like in the middle of the concert. Because I
Into
kept
the
going,
microphone?
go right, go right.
Into the microphone?
Into the microphone.
was going
For everybody. She was going the wrong way. And she just looked down at me and went, I know.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you can't work under those conditions after that. That is unprofessional.
So, and then
just
it was
kidding.
hilarious. We laughed afterwards and
That's
she gave me a big hug. And yeah, so that was kind of
Was the last time. And then so it's an interesting roadmap. Like you cross paths ish with us with IU,
yep,
and then you make your way out to cruise ships, which we all did.
yep.
And then what is that final off ramp that
Leads
just
me to you.
just torpedoes your career and takes you straight into acapella?
How did you get Straight No Chaser?
It's not the cruise idea is a through line, right? Our manager, David, right?
So the company we both worked for handled artist management and the cruise ships. And so he had seen what I did every day. And you guys needed a choreographer. And he approached me one day and said, hey, I think this was Sasha as well.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
they said, Jill, would you be interested in choreographing something for this group?
And
This was it had to be,
2010?
I think it was 2010. It was Dawn's first year.
And we had choreographers previously.
Yep.
But those choreographers were choreographers, right? They didn't really know how to choreograph for us because it's not the same as how
with
you
our limitations, you mean?
not just that, with our priority being that we
Singing,
need to
yeah.
be on the mic and not out of breath. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to have tracks out there. We're not doing any of that. If we're out of breath, they're going to hear it and notice it. So that's when you stepped in. And what was that? Was that challenging for you? Because I don't think you'd done that before. I don't think anybody has, because it was never a thing with acapella.
It was, and still, I say this to you guys a lot, and I truly mean it. Even with the high stress tours, I get the most nervous choreographing for your tour because not only is it a unique experience being 9 singers with no track, everything live, but we've been together for 14 years now, and I never want to let you down. Like it's huge for me. I don't want to let anybody down, but because we have a friendship and we work so well together, like I would be devastated if I showed up and went and you guys were like, but
I was just say, like, now that we're at this point that you have gotten the opportunity to work with us, like, what my question was going to be, like, coming from your background of, I would say, like, serious dancing, like choreography, like how is your approach different for us? I know you mentioned a little bit, but how is it different for us when you prepare for
Sorry, someone's trying to break into the hotel room.
How is it different for us when you prepare for our shows and our set?
once again, the cruise ship thing really helped because singers have a different style of movement than the dancers on a cruise ship. So that training helped me. The first thing I had to set on you guys was the Lady Gaga medley. And we were in Redding, California.
Yep.
And it was a really great medley and it was a lot of fun. And so it was pretty long too. I'm not going to lie that it wasn't too difficult in the sense that it mapped itself out. And it's where I established myself as the phenomenal lyricist that I am.
You are
Yeah.
very good.
Yes.
Carry
Well,
my,
and
carry
do you
my.
remember what it was?
It was Carry My. I
Carry
didn't
My.
realize it was Can't Read My. And I was singing, I think pretty full out.
Yeah.
Over and
I
over.
was-
Even
yeah.
after we told you it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
wrong.
And that has lived on.
Yeah.
But no, that was the first time. And then I guess you guys were happy. And then you asked me to do the Atlantic City show the following summer, which was quite a beast.
And another thing that works in your favor is that when you're doing like the group numbers like that, you're, for lack of better terms, you're choreographing to the lowest common denominator, right? Because we are 9 guys of various
Correct.
dancing ability, from none to
Chasse
Yeah.
ball change.
passable. So what makes your job interesting, and I shouldn't have said easier, it probably makes it more difficult, is okay, what can I do differently? How can I get these guys to move in an interesting way where it's not going to look bad because not everyone can
Right.
pull it off? So that's got to add another layer of
Absolutely.
just
And now to
complexity.
affect the singing.
But over the years, we have really pushed it, especially the 90s tour this summer. You guys
Yeah.
were really dancing. But yeah, no, every year to me feels very different. The music is different. We've had some new band members, which make it different. but it's difficult. I spent, as you guys got called up, my football players. I do spend
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
long
ask,
time
like
prepping.
after all of these years, and I don't know how many songs that
I
we've
can't
done with
count.
you. It's been so
Hundreds.
many.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've reused a couple things just because there's no way around it, but it seems to us like it's always new. So I want to know, how do you come up with stuff that's new, or if it's not new, it looks a little different, so it looks new, even though you might have been like, okay, I use this, but I'm going to switch these around. Like, how do you start?
A lot of times I will go do research on if it's a pop group and they have an original music video.
I see.
So maybe there's an iconic step or move that goes with it. I'll do that. Sometimes I will look at competition type acapella to see if there's, mostly not for steps, but formations. Maybe there's a cool formation that I can do. I do spend time researching it, but a lot of it is I'm alone in my house. I play the music really loud and I just film myself just doing stuff. And then I'll be like, okay, that works. Oh, that doesn't work. And then, yeah, it's just kind of like in choreography, that's how it works anyway, even for dancing. You just
kinda
trial by error,
And
yeah,
error kind of thing.
get in front of us,
Well,
get in
I
the
would say
studio.
a lot of that stuff happens, trial by error happens on stage while we're doing it or rehearsing. You'd be like, okay,
That
I
works
had
better,
I
right.
had this. Wait, you know what? Let's not
Right.
do this. Actually, you do this. You like, she's very good about changing on the fly too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even this week so far, there's been a couple times
Well-
where it's okay, no, so keep doing this. I was going to have you stop, but I want you to keep doing this now. So we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you guys have to
doing that.
cue me vocally if there's a breath or a stop that we need to go.
But also, you can have a plan coming in, and then you see it, and you're like, nah,
Yeah.
that's not it. It's much like arranging.
Yeah.
You have these
Totally.
parts you think you want to hear, and then we get it all together, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let's cruise that instead, or do that instead, or whatever. So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I had something today where I was like, no, once I got it on its feet, no, let's just do this instead of this because it's just going to sound better live because you don't know until you're on stage doing it. And okay, now I can see what this might sound like or what this might look like, which I'm sure you too. It's okay. No, let's do this instead of this for sure.
yeah, trial by error, but it works. We
What-
get it done. We're getting fast.
yeah,
Like we really are. We're getting really, we're a machine
this show's pretty easy in terms of choreography. It's not the '90s show. Like
Was
that
big.
was like
a lot.
show choir.
It was a
amount of
lot.
dancing, and this one is less. I feel like the holiday shows generally are because you've got your stand and sing. We're not tap dancing to.
First Noel.
But what do the lyrics say?
So
So it continued
Right.
both
day and night.
day and night.
And you say both like I do.
Both?
You put the L in there.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. You just
It says
said it.
both.
No, you
Both.
just said both. but
Yeah, but before you
did
said
just say
both.
We'll go back.
I don't
We'll
think
go
so.
back to the tape.
I
We'll go
guess
back.
It's
to the tape.
recorded. We'll know.
Okay.
Well.
So I have a question.
Okay.
So you've been with us, what'd you say, 14
It's
years?
14 years now.
What are some of your favorite memories working
Oh
with
my
us?
God. Oh, that's hard. I think the traveling on the bus is
Okay.
always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Segi is always playing pranks on me. He's the little brother I never had.
Or wanted.
Yes, there was a time he said that the way to open the door to go from the lounge area into the bunk area, normally you just push
Mhm.
the thing. Sometimes there's a button, it's different. And I got on the bus and I couldn't see how to open the door. And so Segi was like, it's censored. And I was like, what do you mean? He's, you have to stand and wave your hand and then
There's a
it's
sensor right in the corner.
And I did because I
Yeah.
believed him.
Oh
So
my
I'm,
goodness,
and then I think
amazing.
Walt came on the bus and was like, Jill, what are you
What are you doing?"
doing?
It was either Walt or the driver.
Maybe.
Someone came on. What are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to open the door.
Yeah. And it was literally a handle.
That's funny.
It was pretty
That's on you. The
embarrassing.
handle is in plain sight.
Okay, I'll give another. There's a couple. Some of the PBS specials where I'm in your ears a lot of the times because we want the spacing to be really perfect. And I'm also helping the director and the cameraman as to who's singing because they don't know who's singing your songs. And I love a challenge like that. So for me, those PBS specials are a lot of fun because I have to be on my A game. I'd say all of your PBS specials have been big memories for me. And I do have to say the 90s, again, the 90s tour this summer, me and Brits looked at each other after the finale and went, oh my God, they're
Dance club.
They're
dancers.
dancing. They're
Yeah,
dancing.
I'm like, you guys are
It-
dancers
yeah,
now. I'm
yeah.
up my game.
Yeah, it was a proud moment.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We're still not dancers, by the way.
Working with 9 guys,
Yes.
you're used to working with larger groups, obviously from the ships and from every cast you do. Is there a difference working with us versus working with like a bigger group of dancers who are all really good?
I'd say every situation is 100% different based on time, how much time we have to rehearse. When you're working with a big artist like a Ricky or whatever, you're dealing with their manager in a different way as well. Like you're not just dealing with the artist and making them happy, but also making sure the manager is happy. And some managers are easier and some managers are not.
Please name them.
I will not.
She still wants to
dance-
work in this business. but
right?
She can't. Although no one's
Fritz is on the.
Actually, click the link below. That
no one's listening.
those
to
are
this.
the managers that are.
Dancers are primarily pretty easy because they are used to just not allowed. This sounds awful, but they're not really allowed to have an opinion. Does that make
They're used
sense?
to being
Sure.
told what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
You just,
okay,
hey,
these are your steps. Blah blah.
This
go.
is what it is, right? It's a different, I do look at it as a different approach with you guys because I respect all of you, you respect me. And there's times in rehearsal I have to be like, hey, come on, focus here. But you are the artists. So I still have to treat it with that level. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So you're not dancers. Like you're not a cast of dancers
We
that
know
I
that, Jill.
I know that.
The audience knows that. Everyone
mean?
knows that.
like
Right.
when I'm with a cast of dancers, I can be really strict and
We're
you
not
know
submissives. We're not.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you have
get
an opinion. It's your art. It's you on stage. There's a different thing. But it's really the stress level of the situation is different for all of it. It's yeah. Sometimes I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm very nervous for opening night for anybody. And then because we had very little rehearsal time, or there's a lot of technical aspects that make me nervous that something can go wrong. And then other times I can just sit back and enjoy. So it's really, truly different with every
Interesting.
job.
What do you like about our show that might be different from a lot of other artists you work with? Like it's just like our show as a whole. What do you like about it that's different from other big time people or not so? What do you like about it?
So the difference with you guys is it's a set show, but not, if that makes sense. So Ricky has to be the same every night. The show is the same. The set list is
Right.
the same because the video content, the band, the dancers, they can't change it up because maybe the dancers have a costume change. They need that song. It's set and it's what it is. You guys have a little more freedom as far as banter, as far as the transitions, as far as the in-betweens. If something does go wrong, you can make light of it and it's funny.
Yeah.
So for me, what makes you guys unique is yes, you are extraordinary singers and arrangers and showmen, but you also have a sense of humor. So that to me makes people just sit back and enjoy the show and not be sitting on the edge of their seat going, is something going to go? Because a lot of people nowadays look for things that go wrong.
Yeah.
So I think the casualness, and that's not meaning it's not professional, it's set, but there is a casualness to it that
Right.
makes it fun.
It's
Right,
a
yeah.
living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
It's live theater.
Yeah. And the sense of humor, like the lines that sometimes come out and we all bust out laughing.
Name some of those.
You tripped up the stairs.
I didn't trip up the stairs. I tripped on the front of a riser and Supermaned onto the riser.
There's a YouTube video out of that. It is awesome.
What is your favorite song you've choreographed for us?
Ooh,
Good
that's,
question.
That's hard.
First and well, probably.
Anyone that has no movement because it's the easiest.
Yeah.
No.
I thought the
Dance club medley
the
this
dance
summer.
club I don't think we've ever done anything as intense as dance club before. I
Yeah.
don't think.
That was last summer for the
Some-
90s tour,
Yeah.
which we're doing another 90s tour. I think at least we are hoping to do another 90s tour next summer and hopefully do some more stuff. That's not actually confirmed or anything, but it went so well last year that we
Yeah.
have to do it again.
I would say Uptown Funk
Yeah, it's one of
is
my
an
favorites.
all time.
was fun.
I thought Beyonce was great.
Yep.
Yep.
Back in the day, your closers were always a montage of stuff, and there were some really good ones in there, like what is that? Gangnam
Yeah,
Oh,
Style.
the
Style.
LMFAO Gangnam
Oh,
Style.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
fun.
That was a fun one. So some of those closers were really good. But yeah, I'd say Uptown was definite. Yeah. That I think that was when we really stepped it up.
Is
Yeah.
there a song from the show we're doing now that you really like? Is there one that you were like, I could do without?
Ooh.
Do we want to
Pressure.
name the songs, or just
Sure.
do you
I
want are
mean-
these yes or no's?
No, these are name the songs. All right. Hold on. Is there one that you really like in this show that you are excited to see us do on Friday?
I'm really looking forward to the opener. I think
Yeah.
the opener's going to look really good. I'm not going to
Nice.
say the song.
Don't say it.
Nice.
Nice.
That was
Yeah,
good.
I'd say opener.
Yeah.
I think it's going to
Midway.
be really sharp.
You don't have to answer the other question. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll ask you.
No, I want to hear it.
No,
Anything that say you sing so
Well, no, Jill will always come back after the first show, second show, and third show, and be like, "Okay, this song's not really
I'm honest.
hitting. This one's not really flowing. You should
Yeah.
move this here." She would be the right person to be.
But
I can't answer that now
it's
though.
also Tuesday.
I have
Yeah,
to
very
see,
early.
and also sometimes my taste is not the audience, right?
Sure.
So a song that I may go, that's not my favorite, the audience loves.
Mhm.
So you
So
think you're better than the audience? Got it. Plus, you haven't heard any of the songs yet.
not really.
really.
No.
I mean, you've heard us rehearsing, but not on microphones,
No.
not with the sound,
Right.
and a lot of things can change
Right.
after that.
And lighting, Dan does a phenomenal job with lighting.
Shout out Dan.
I love it. And
Yeah.
Dan is great because he writes to me ahead of time. And he's already, I have this idea and that idea. And then,
Right.
yeah, no, I love anything technical. I'd love to be a part of
I
100%.
said it before, but it's such an asset of what you bring is you are able to go out and see a couple of shows along with Brits. You can see the whole picture of the show and be like, okay, this is working, this isn't. Maybe this, can see the whole picture, which is very valuable feedback to us because we're on stage doing it and we might not see or might not hear or whatever. She might be like top of this song vocally with whatever. So maybe work on that because we don't obviously hear that being on stage. So it's nice to have that asset in the audience being like, okay, big picture items. It's nice to hear
Mhm.
that.
But it's not always negative. Sometimes we'll come off stage and be
Sure.
like, "Man, we didn't think that song hit," and then
She'd be
her and
like,
Brits will
"Yeah."
come back, "No, that crushed."
Yeah.
We just, depending on the theater, if it's real tall or wide, whatever, we don't hear the response that is actually happening. Plus, we have our ears in.
I say, yeah.
So a lot of times there's been several instances we'll come back like, "All right, I think we should cruise this song." Like, no way, are you kidding? They were like going crazy
Mhm.
out there for it. And Yonine does a good job of that too,
True,
being
yep.
like,
Phenomenal.
we'll usually ask him. And a lot of it's like the stuff we believe to be humorous. We'll be like, "Hey, it didn't seem like anyone was laughing." They'd be like, "No, they were cracking up, but you just couldn't hear it."
Yep.
I have a question. So you've been with us since yesterday. We started learning,
Right.
and the show's on Friday, and you'll stay a couple days to see the show, and then you'll fly home, or is it right after the first show, then you'll leave?
Usually I'll see the first two shows.
Okay.
We used to just do the first show and then Brits and I I think it would be helpful
Yeah.
for me to see the
Yeah.
first two.
See it in a different setting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, because the
as-
first show you have all the adrenaline being
Yep.
the first show, and then the second show.
Yeah. Or sometimes not recently, but back in the day, you guys used to not do all the new stuff right away. You now go for it.
Mhm.
Like you've really
Go.
changed that. You go for all the new stuff.
I think that sort of goes to what we said earlier, in that we can learn the music early. Now we send the parts out, send the stuff out. So, yeah.
First two shows and then I fly home. I usually try to see a show in the middle.
Right.
This time, I believe you're in California sometime like
A little
mid-November,
earlier than
Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
which is perfect timing.
you'll come
Like
see us.
I can go see you guys in that show.
Unless you have
Um,
something better to do.
Or
Well,
it's sold out.
Or it's sold out.
I usually try to go home to see the show in Cleveland because I like to take my mom.
That's
I'll-
fine. Leave it in.
I'll, like,
We're
I'll cut
raw.
it
We
out,
sees
but,
what you get.
I was going to ask you about that as well, because you mentioned the Rose Parade.
Yes, I'm
You
the
were-
associate director
Okay,
of
right.
creative. Yes, the creative floats. Yeah.
And you are in the middle of that now, because it's
Yes.
what we're in October, so we're
Couple months
like
away, yeah.
3 months
Yep.
away, whatever. So.
Yep. We're figuring out, fine tuning our artists, locking them in, the creative for each of the floats, and
And I don't think a lot of people know that is a very
intense.
hard job. It's a long day for you,
It's
right?
very long.
So
day.
last year you got there what at
The day
what's your time frame
before.
like?
So the
What's
day
your time frame?
before on Sunday, we worked all day. And then in theory, I was supposed to take a nap Sunday afternoon, New Year's Day being Monday.
Okay.
And then I had to get back at 11:30 p.m. So before New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And then we started setting up the street for our overnight rehearsal at midnight. And then we went float by float. So rehearsal started at 12:31 a.m. And I think you guys got there at 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we had done the other 3 middle floats, and then we did the closer, and then we did the opener, and then the parade starts at 8. Parade wraps at, so there was close to 36 hours of no sleep. I don't know if I've ever been so tired.
Yeah, you
I
were
I
wiped
went
after
home
that, yeah.
and was pretty wiped
Well,
out.
Mike's on day 3 of working 9:30 to 5.
I am
He's tired.
very
still.
tough. It's very tough.
But
I'm not ready for this type of schedule.
but it was stressful because again, we had never done it before. So none of our
Yeah.
team, we were pretty stressed.
And you're doing it again.
And we're doing it for the next couple of years.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
But
for you.
again, I was also wanting it to be a good experience for you guys. So I was probably more involved with getting you guys to where you needed to be and all that kind of stuff
Well,
because I wanted you guys to have a good
Well,
experience.
probably because you also vouched for us.
Right,
So your
right.
name is on and reputation's on the line.
Right.
If we came out there and it was just a mess, that would have been a poor reflection on you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Kudos to you for that.
Yeah.
And I
So-
think people don't understand or have any frame of reference of how much extra work is involved when it's TV,
Yeah.
especially
Oh,
national TV
yeah.
and live TV.
Yeah.
Camera angles and placement of mics and all that stuff. It is insanity. So if you're not detail oriented, you will sink
Big time.
faster than the Titanic.
Yes. Big time.
Spoiler alert.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the people listening that you think that they should be looking forward to about the tour this year?
There are a couple of arrangements that you guys have never done live before that I think are pretty spectacular. And I think the audiences are going to go really crazy for those. They'll go crazy for everything, but there's really a couple that I'm surprised you haven't done live that I'm really looking forward to. I'm always excited for the opening video because I as well do not see it until it's that time. And that's always a lot of fun for me to see the new opening video. But I think overall, and you guys touch on this as well.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, keep going.
You guys touch on this as well on the podcast, which is, I think in general, just like you guys, I'm just incredibly grateful for the life that I have. Like I have had an amazing life. I've done exactly what I love. I get to do what I love every day, and I get to travel. Huh?
Hike.
You do
Hike.
Yeah.
You love
Yeah.
hiking?
But it gives me the freedom. This type of job gives me the freedom to be able to do that because I do have periods of time off, right? I get to work with great people. I get to travel the world. I get to meet all kinds of people. And I don't know, there's a lot of people in the world who can say that about their life. So I'm always just grateful. I mean, to me, I'm just, and it sounds corny and sappy, but I mean
No.
it. Like I totally
Well,
mean it. Yeah.
We are super grateful for you and the role that you have had in our lives, whether that be on the stage or whether that be off. Since we've met you, like you've been such a good friend, I think, with all of us. And there's a reason why we're still working together. I think we're honestly surprised sometimes that you still put up with us. But it's been so nice having you on the podcast, Jill. I know I speak for all of us when we say that
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we could do what we do on stage without you. We could, but it wouldn't be as good, maybe.
Like you
you know.
said, she's worked with all these awesome people throughout her career, and she, I feel like, always makes time for us. Like she always is like, when you're
Right.
tour, I'm gonna block off this time. I'm gonna be with you guys, and that means a lot to us. So
So
we
we're
appreciate
super
that.
thankful for you. So,
Not
ladies
my
and
cat.
gentlemen, that was Jill Hillier. Thank you so much, Jill.
Thank you.
Jill's the best. Jill's the best.
All right.
Wow, that was fun. Very good.
Very
Informative
insightful, we hope.
and fun. I'm sure everybody was an anticipated guest. Hopefully they got the answers that they wanted or a little bit insight on the choreography side of our
Yeah.
And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that she got new glasses. And
You did.
not only did she get new glasses,
mentioned that
but we
today.
noticed immediately.
immediately.
Um,
One of the first things.
so shout out to Jess. She's great. Um, No,
Yeah,
Jill's
that's
the
great.
best. Our show looks like what it looks like and feels like what it feels like, largely because of what she does.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
like you said, the show would be not great without Jill.
What do you still need to work on? What do you still need to learn? What do you still need to memorize?
I
going
think
forward?
at this point it's just reps on everything. Like know what my part is as far as the music, and now we've been not gone through the entire show of choreography, but we know a bulk of it. It's just getting reps and getting used to it, getting used to the choreography and the singing at the same time, just getting more used to it. So the more reps we can get, the better.
Right.
Reps. And sitting here, it's Tuesday. Our first show is Friday, and we're going to start filming the intro video tomorrow. So, fingers crossed that it turns out well.
But you have it all scripted out. We have ideas, and
Yeah, everything's
it's not like we're starting from scratch.
no, that
you know?
would
Yeah.
be bad.
Well, it'd be a fun experiment, but
Not for the audience in the end.
Well,
because they'd be like,
not
"What
for
is
us."
this crap?" Like this. But no, I mean, it's always nerve wracking when you're putting together those videos and filming it and hoping everything turns out. But Robert and his team are amazing, and I'm sure we'll have him on as a guest sometime.
Oh
Yeah, it'd be
for
great.
sure.
To talk about that whole side of things, because not only does he do the opening videos, he does a lot of our live stuff. He does our live streams, does music videos.
Yeah.
And he also works with people that are way better and more famous than us.
Mhm.
So it's cool to have those people around.
Yeah. And we want to do more of this series with our team. As we talked about last week, we were with David. This week we had Jill. And I think as we go ahead this week while we're in rehearsals and we have everyone here, I think it'd be fun to get some other guys
Yeah.
from the crew, from the team,
Schultz.
whether that be our lighting guy, Dan Schultz, whether that be Yonine. I think that'd be very interesting. And you guys can write us too at unofficialofficialpod@gmail.com. Let us know who you'd like to hear from. We may have them on, we may not. It just depends. But I think we have a lot of options here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's always good to have the fans see another perspective of
Absolutely.
SNC and what we do and understand how those people fit into the puzzle and just how important those puzzle pieces are. you
Oh,
know?
absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
great.
Sean Murray, our tour manager.
Yeah.
Yep. Click below for his social security
He's
number
been
and
great.
home address.
He'd be he'd be mortified. Yeah.
He would. But no, it's going to be great. And if you want to see Stray No Chaser on the road, we'll be all over the country this fall on the Top Shelf Tour, sncmusic.com for tickets. This weekend, we're opening up Friday night here in Bensalem, Pennsylvania,
At the
And we-
Parks Casino.
Parks Casino at the Excite Center. And then we're going to move on to Schenectady and then Red Bank, New Jersey. And we're going to be hitting the Eastern Seaboard, getting all the way down to Texas and all that good stuff. So head to the website, buy your tickets and buy your friends' tickets, buy your neighbors' tickets, buy the kids at your school tickets, buy their friends. No, I'm just kidding, but come see us on the road and follow us on all the social media sites at Unofficial Official Pod. And Tyler,
We just want to thank everybody for listening. This is episode 12.
this is
And,
12.
made it.
We're just excited to do this, and we're happy to get the comments and the emails from everybody that have been listening. We've got some great comments, and we appreciate it and glad that you're listening and hope you continue to do so.
Yes, and I know we didn't have an opportunity this week to hit the mailbag, but please remember, if you have any questions for us, please write us at unofficialofficialpod@gmail.com, name and where you're from, and we will be glad to answer that question. And we can't wait to see you guys next time. So for Jill Hillier, Segi Isho, Tyler Trepp, I am Mike Luganbill. This has been episode 12 of the Unofficial Official Pod from Straight No Chaser. And we will see you guys on the road. All right. Thanks a lot. See ya.